So yesterday you suffered me and the day before. So today the idea is to have more interaction from your side. Please don't be speechless. And also to find whether at all these things are practical, as yesterday there was a very lively discussion. And if there are challenges, what are they, and how we can move towards actually realizing a more integral, a more value-oriented lives, even in the challenging society which we live today in. That is the idea. And as you know, that Vivekananda Samiti has been organizing these kind of talks on the occasion of Swami Vivekananda's 150th birth anniversary. World over, many deliberations are going on, a lot of projects are going on. There is one thing which should come into our minds, that why only now? Why only after 150th year of Swami Vivekananda's birth are we looking at things in this perspective? We should have rather done it much earlier. And should we stop here? Is Vivekananda only a religious figure, as many make him out to be? Or is there a serious manual which he has given to us, which we can apply irrespective of any religious color? And also we need to see how much Vivekananda is relevant today. Is he at all relevant? And if he is relevant, how is he relevant? And can we translate his ideas into practice in our lives? So this session is about the challenges which we face today in work, in our house, in our family, both personal and the extended family. So the question occurs that when we are facing the road of our lives, we are having an idea about our life, and that's where the problem starts, because many of us do not have a clear-cut idea about the life. But of course we have aspirations. We are people who are very ambitious. We have dreams. And Swami Vivekananda asks us to dream truer dreams which are realizable. And as you all know, we belong to the young generation. I also consider myself young. So you are the future, or rather you are the present of this country today. So what you envision for yourself is going to be the future of the country. So we are not talking only about the future of your own lives, but we are talking in the bigger sense, the future of the society, future of your country. So much depends on you. Having said that, what is that we lack? As I said, when we make a house, or we think of making a house, we have a plan. AutoCAD or no AutoCAD, we have a plan. We have some blueprint. And unfortunately, when we think about our lives, we do not have a goal setting process. And this is the beginning of the problem. We are carried away by aspirations which are imposed on us by our parents, by our society, by our family. But how many of us do really have a concrete plan, a goal setting process of what I will do? And you know very well, but I would like to point out that goals could be at various levels. One is the bigger goal of your life, ultimate goal, and there are various intermediate goals in your lives. So how many of us actually have a clear-cut vision? And even if we have some aspiration, how many of us can stand up for those aspirations? This is a big question. What I am doing here is I am going to give you some points to ponder. And I require you to interact, to make a lively discussion. So I will rush you through these slides. Swami Vivekananda talks about three values. He talks about many values, but predominantly three values: purity, patience, which is a rare value, perseverance, which is still rare. So, in India we have a term in Hindi called jugaad. You all know that. Yeah, jugaad. And actually in Haryana there is a vehicle which is called Jugaad. And at one point of time I had some friends to whom I was teaching. Please don't get me wrong, I was teaching them how to edit a film. So then I said to them that you can actually make a spot on this Jugaad. Like there is a small boy who is sitting in a farm and he runs, takes the steering of a tractor, runs, takes the pump set motor and puts the tires of the tractor, and in 5 minutes flat, Jugaad, the ultimate driving experience. Something like that. So Jugaad, we are all good at Jugaad. How? Chal jayega, manage kar denge. Reverse engineering is only too well known to Indians. So we are very good at that. But we are all very good employees, but rarely do we find, we do find, but the number is very few, of people who have become entrepreneurs. Of course this breed is increasing and it's a good sign, but that is a rarity. People who have become leaders, who create companies, who give employment. Why? Because we do not know, or we do not want, or we probably don't have the patience to see the end of a project. We lose patience. Somehow middle way we Jugaad and somehow manage, and whatever, we publish our report or we publish our paper or we somehow submit our thesis, whatever that is. So this perseverance is one quality which Swami Vivekananda wanted us to have. And purity, this is again a very a notion, there is a notion, a big misconstrued notion about purity. Purity means, should I not marry, stuff like that. So should I not earn income. So purity means what? As I was telling the other day, your thought, word and deed will follow the same value system, the same belief framework. That is being pure. That is being pure, and we lack that. Then of course it all boils down to the one word which we have heard from childhood, that is morality. What is morality? Swami Vivekananda gives us the definition. Anything which is selfish is immoral, and that which is unselfish is moral. The whole idea of morality and ethics is pretty relative, and this thing is kind of a litmus test for deciding whether a thing is ethical or not. Now when you say you are immoral, what happens? Why do you become immoral? Because you start expecting things, and you put your expectation in priority to the other values, and that leads to immorality. When you know that you can make that extra buck and you can probably compromise on certain values, who cares? So you make those extra bucks and that value is compromised. So expectation, you expect that this should be your daily food, and sometimes you end up with this, so you are frustrated. You expect that this should be your apparel, and sometimes you end up with this, and it causes frustration. You expect this kind of a living room and you end up with this, and this expectation is in a series. You first need this, then you graduate to this, and then this. Of course, somebody was telling me that nano got its name. Of course, please don't quote anywhere else, because I know nano, one monk was telling me that nano has got its name not because of nanotechnology, but when you start it, it says na no. So you go to this, and then from there Mercedes. Everyone wants to own one, and also if possible Rolls Royce. So you want more and more and more. So aparigraha, which I was talking about, there is no end to your wants. You don't say this, stop. What I need is a vehicle to commute, this is enough. No, you want more and more and more, and better still, a fleet of cars. So you can show off your wealth, you can pamper your ego. When we see life, we see that even within one life, within our mental framework, we are in a dichotomous situation, and that is that we are always having one part of our life or one part of our conscience, like very beautifully portrayed in some of these old Bollywood movies, that a person comes out with some black color or something and says, "Aisa karo, haan, usko maar do," and other fellow says, "Don't, mat maro." So this kind of thing is there in us. So always we have this one inclination towards selfish motive and another towards an unselfish motive. So renunciation, you see, what we can do is, we are hardwired to go for the better thing. As I showed you in the example, you have a Bajaj Super, when you see Hero Honda, you are hardwired actually to go for the Hero Honda. We can turn this hardware, we can turn this mechanism to our advantage by actually going for higher things from lower things. Not only in the material plane, but also, or rather, instead of the material plane, on a spiritual or intellectual plane. Instead of you're focusing only on the material scenario, you start focusing on the value systems. Instead of focusing only on yourself as a body, you start focusing on your family. Instead of focusing only on your family, you start focusing on your habitat. And instead of focusing only on your habitat, you start focusing on your panchayat and so on and so forth. So you can always use this inherent tendency to go for the higher or the superior from the lower. And that is what is renunciation. If you see, the Indian tradition gives sanction to a person taking to monastic life only if the person will go on a path of spiritual practice. But if a person is going to take monastic life to escape the responsibilities of the world, then the Indian tradition says that that is not going to help the person in any way. So you see, only when you leave something lower for something higher, it actually helps. Otherwise, you just rust out. Now, all those actions which we do are, according to Swami Vivekananda, governed by unselfishness, renunciation and love. Now, this may be a surprise. How can some action be unselfish? We are all selfish. Okay, unselfish, when you are performing an action which seemingly supposes to be selfish, you are being unselfish to yourself. That is the way you have to understand it. And you are being unselfish to yourself, you are loving yourself. So here again, you have to extend the ambit of the motive of your action. Instead of being only unselfish to yourself, you be unselfish to the family also. You be unselfish to the society, etc. Now again I come to the same shloka which I talked about the other day. The imagery was Gajar ka halwa for a change, because I come from Kolkata, Rasagulla. So objects of desire, this we need to remember: attachment, strong desire, anger, confusion, indecision, lack of wisdom and distraction. So please remember this. The first day we talked about this and the last day also. So what is the problem? The problem is, we have an idea of God who is bahut badhiya, has no problem. But this God has a problem. The God created manufacturing unit where God manufactured human beings but did not put controls like Six Sigma. So there was a serious manufacturing defect in the product. All human beings have a manufacturing defect. What is the defect? The Upanishad says that we all can see only outside. Paranchi khani vitranat swayambhuhu. By default, we have all been produced with a manufacturing defect. And that defect is tasmat parang pashyati na antaratman. We can only see the outside. None of us can see our own selves. And some people who had perseverance, who were intelligent, wanted to understand their own self, and what did they do? They avritta chakshuhu. They turned their vision towards themselves and amritatvam icchan. Seeking immortality, they turned their focus from the outside world to themselves. So we have this manufacturing defect, and we will have to work on this manufacturing defect. Unfortunately, there is no warranty period. So we will have to work on it ourselves, and that is what we have to do. We have to reverse the process of searching for perfection outside, and instead we have to try to search for perfection inside our own selves. You can do it at various levels: at the physical level, at the intellectual level, at the emotional and also the spiritual level. And that exactly has to be done. How do you do it practically? You give 5 minutes time in the morning and probably when you sleep, because that again depends on the person. For some people it can be 3 a.m., some people it can be 12 o'clock. So whatever time you go to sleep, if you're not too sleepy, give some 5 minutes, think what you have done throughout the day. And in the morning, think what you will do in the course of the day. And that requires, any kind of routine requires discipline. So as I was talking to you about the equestrian event in the Olympics, discipline is again something. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Practice and constant discipline will only lead to you to any goal. It could be a material goal, it could be an academic goal, or it could be a spiritual or emotional goal. Concentration or focus. Again we come to this. How do you attain focus? Swamiji says that a fool also can concentrate on a thing which the person likes. So, jab tak hai jaan does not require extra effort for focus. But the intelligent person is one who can concentrate on a thing or knows how to love a thing which initially the person does not like. So, there was this boy, as you all know the story, had studied about a tree, went to the school, took the test and found that there was an essay where he was asked to write about a cow. And so this person says the cow is an animal and it was tied to the tree, and so the tree is blah 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 blah. So one line about cow and nine lines about tree. So similarly you should know how to relate. Now we had one Swami called Swami Vivekananda, and he was once accosted, I should say, by some Pandits. And Pandits are always, they want to show their snobbery. Academicians have been always like that. So they want to show that how much they know. So they accosted this Swami and they said, okay, this is that, blah blah blah. They were Sanskrit blah blahing. And there was a hall where they were talking, and in the adjacent room, monks like me were praying to God that the Maharaj should not be defeated. So finally the course of conversation went to a concept called Hiranyagarbha, or the golden leg, to translate it roughly in English. And when that happened, all these people left their prayer and went away, because they were very sure that this is the topic where Maharaj was expert. So somehow bring that topic or the course of conversation to your sphere. Somehow try to relate it to yourself, where you are. So when I was talking about management, I said that HR management, you can relate it to your relationship, or management you can relate it to your family management. So something like that. You try to bring a parallel in your life where you can relate it to, and try to focus. Honesty, again the same example of lotus leaf. When once I was asked to speak in Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in Kolkata for a vigilance week, employee who was an honest employee, unfortunately honest in these times, he came up and he gave a talk, and he said that now who is honest in government institutions? A person who takes bribe and does the work is an honest employee. And who is dishonest? Who takes bribe and yet does not do the work. So radical redefinition of honesty. So we need to know that honesty is, again, you act according to your belief system. You believe one thing, you speak the same thing and act accordingly. Same thing leads to truth. As I told, there are various levels of truth. There is emotional truthfulness, there is intellectual truthfulness, there is actual truthfulness, and what you understand you have to speak, not what you know is what is being told to you, but you know that that is not true. So you have to be very sincere about things, and this all leads to integrity. This is one thing which we lack. I know of instances where many entrepreneurs were denied chances of huge export orders because people from abroad, they said that you do not have any integrity. How do I know that you will actually deliver the goods? In fact, unfortunately, I know of some people, even in my organization, who are not Indians. They are constantly fidgety, or they are suspicious about the kind of things they may get from Indians, because they have always encountered a non-integral approach. They have encountered a disintegrity or lack of integrity among Indians. For example, Indian stretchable time. So we can go on and on with this. This is again another. So Swami Vivekananda says why those things happen, because there are two forces of nature, and one is selfishness, that means taking more and more for yourself. Another one is unselfishness, lovebirds, giving. And why should you be ethical? Is it at all necessary that you should be ethical? Richard Dawkins tells me that selfish gene, and of course evolutionary biologists like him will tell that this is a survival of the fittest. So why should I be ethical? Not necessary. Jiski lathi, uski bhans. So why should I be ethical? Swami Vivekananda says that you should be ethical because according to Advaita Vedanta, there is really no difference between you and the other. As we saw yesterday, there is no other. So I don't serve in Ramakrishna mission an other person as I am serving somebody else. I serve the person because I see the suffering as a sore in my own arm. And just when I see an injury on my arm, I would go and immediately attend to it. Similarly, when I see a person suffering, I understand that person to be a part of myself and help that person. Similarly, when you are being ethical, you are actually helping yourself. And if you do not help, you are injuring yourself. And ignorance always brings difference. At the social level, at the intellectual level, at the emotional level. It's only knowledge which integrates. Even at the, I think, physics level, it's only knowledge which integrates. But ignorance brings difference. And so, you should understand that this is your true nature and be ethical. What will happen if you are ethical? There is a wheel between your true nature and yourself. You always consider yourself to be the mouse. But you do not know that you are actually the cat. In fact, there is no cat and mouse, there is only one being. So this hole from which you try to peep at the mouse-like, a cat-like appearance of the universe has to be destroyed. This wall has to go. And then you will understand that there is nothing which is frightening you. Easily said, difficult to practice. Unselfishness is more paying, only people do not have the patience to practice it. Very true. Then one thing which many people, we all know that we know about that. You see, all of us have opinion on certain things. Like if somebody falls ill, all of us will give them a remedy. So there is an Akbar Bilbar story about this. So everyone will come and tell, ye khao, wo khao. Finally the person has to get himself cured to stop this botheration. All of us have something to say about cooking. We may not even know how to boil water, but we have something to say about cooking. So similarly, all of us have something to say about music. We may be very sweet sounding as a crow, but still we will talk about music. Similarly, all of us have something to say about love. We all love. We know about love. Arey love ye to hum jante hain. This is our topic. Like who are you, a monk, talking to us about love? I mean, we are the people. This is the most less understood, misunderstood emotion of our life. And it's a very powerful emotion which analyzed properly can give us an integral personality. What is love? Love is not giving a missed call to your loved one and expecting a call back in nanoseconds. It is not love. Love is not saying that itne der kyun aapka phone busy tha and disconnecting immediately or even worse, switching it off and keeping the mobile nearby and then again switching it on in again nanoseconds. All these things are not love. What is love? Swami Vivekananda talks about that and we do not know because that is not talked about. But can you love? That is the question. You say, I love, oh Mary, I die for you. But if you see Mary kissing another man, you want to cut his throat. If Mary sees John talking to another girl, she cannot sleep at night and she makes life hell for John. There are many Marys and Johns here, I believe. This is not love. This is barter and sale in sex. It is blasphemy to talk of it as love. Very strongly put, but this is not love. According to Swami Vivekananda, this is just barter. This is pure commercial transaction. So, what is love? Mother's love is love. And how is mother's love? You all know Vodafone. Vodafone always tracks you. The network of Vodafone is very powerful. And because of Vodafone advertisement, this puppy, pug, the value of pug shot from 5,000 to 15,000. and it's not a very good dog, and eventually it falls sick in Indian climate. Anyway, so a person who is afraid of a pug, a mother, when her child is frightened by a tiger or goes or attacked or is going to be attacked by a tiger, will just jump into the face of tiger and rescue her child. That is love. Swami Premanandaji Maharaj, who was the disciple and brother disciple, he was the disciple of Sri Ramakrishna and the brother disciple of Swami Vivekananda, once went to Dhaka, then it was not Bangladesh. He went there and he was talking about many things about spirituality, etc. So because his name is Premananda and because many people think that is a very easily understood and very simple thing to do, many people think so. So they said, Maharaj, please talk about prema or love. Then Maharaj became serious. He said, yes, I can talk about love. Are you ready to pay the price? So what is the price? Price is your head. Your head. If you can give your head in sacrifice, then you can understand love. So love is something which is very difficult to understand. And if you really want to understand love, you have to start sacrificing for the person whom you think you love. And unless you sacrifice, there are many songs for this. And there is one Bengali song which I remember and I like much. It says that how many drops of tear have you shed that you will love? Or how many paths have you trodden and torn your feet with thorns that you will love? The day before is that we're all taught how to succeed. We are all prepared for success. Now tell me, what is the probability that we will succeed all the time in everything we do in life? It's zero probability. It's not possible. We all know, we are all intelligent people, but still we aim for that situation where we will succeed in everything, every time, in all through our life. And what do we not prepare ourselves for? Failure, which is more probable. In fact, that is the only probable thing. You will fail. Just imagine, we are all going to die one day and we have never thought even of that. And that is what Yudhishthira says. He says that this is the biggest wonder, that people think, people see death all around. They see that people are dying day in and day out, and somehow they feel that they will stay put. This is the biggest wonder and Mahat Ashcharyam. So we do not prepare ourselves for failure, and that is where we fail actually. And that is what differentiates us from people who have become great. These people were good at failing. They could handle failure. There are many people, you all know maybe more anecdotes and incidents than me. You can go on and on citing instances from history who became leaders of the society, who made change, brought change to their environments, who knew how to handle failure. Now that we should learn, how to be dispassionate about the results of our actions. Because failures teach you. Wake up, Sid. Wake up, Sid, all of you have seen, right? All. Who has not seen Wake Up, Sid? All work, no play. So, so Wake Up, Sid, this here, our wonderful hero, he fails, and that is the turning point, so to say, in his life. And there I like one dialogue. This fat girl says, she goes on eating sweets and says, so somebody asks, why are you eating? Said, "Arey, stress ka ulta to deserts hota hai na." That's really original. So anyway, Wake Up, Sid. So here this fellow finds that he is passionate about camera, the photography business, and he finds that his father also was like that, and then he takes up that. So most of the times we fail. I have an employee at Advaita Ashrama who was an electrical engineer. Actually, he is an electrical engineer. By the pressure of his parents, he took up electrical engineering. He did the course, went to take up a job at some plant, some boiler plant, and then he was totally disillusioned. He gave it up. And he's a wonderful artist. He can paint. And he has already held 4 exhibitions in Birla Academy. He studies. He has come into the book publishing business. And he is one of our employees. And he is beautiful. He can do so many things. And he has found that this is what he was meant for. And he's really he's artist. So we need to understand what is the purpose. What is that which actually we connect to. And failure helps us sometimes to wake up and see. Again, we need to have something which is called Shraddha. Swami Vivekananda says this word cannot be translated. But an attempt to translate that is faith. Faith in the belief systems which you have been handed over. Faith in your ancestors. Faith in your society, in your tradition. In the books whichever you have studied since childhood. In IITK, in your governance. If you can't change. Swami Vivekananda, when he came to India in 1897, he gave many lectures from Colombo to Almora, available in a book called Lectures from Colombo to Almora, very inspiring, and gives you the gist of his message to India. There, in Chennai, he gave 5 lectures, and in one lecture called The Plan of Campaign, towards the end, he says, this national ship of ours is sinking, and if possible, let us plug the holes, but let not one word of curse come out from our lips. It's very easy for us to start the blame game. But can you make a difference? If you can't, keep your mouth shut. Just do your job and stay put. And if you can't make a difference, do not just quit also, because you have to be in the system to change the system. Just giving up doesn't do any good. And please remember, whichever country is offering whatever position, now India has got, the whole dynamics has changed in India. You get very good compensation, take home pay. But whichever country is offering whatever position, you are yet a second grade citizen in that country. This is a fact. You are not. And then you have to regret when you marry, you have kids, that you are not able to give the culture to that your offspring. Instead of that, think of a better society. Evolve the society. If the politics has to change, change the politics. If the environment has to change it yourself. If the infrastructure has to change, develop an infrastructure. Create a model. And let us work for a better future for ourselves and for our next generations. That you can do only when you have faith. What did this foreign rule for thousands of years do? Till there was Mughal rule, historical studies today say that we did not have to face so much of a problem. The problem really started when more intelligent kind of people came and you had this Anglican rule, British rule on us, and they changed the very setup of our educational framework. And we have now borrowed the legal, the administrative and the educational framework, and we have shown that we are near to incapable to create a framework for ourselves. And that has led us to believe that anything which has a stamp of made in USA or anywhere else other than India is far better than what is made in India. Though the fact may be that these things are exported in the first place from 100% EOUs in India. You see, so in Chennai there is a street called Sundar Street in Nungambakam, and there are 100% export oriented units who actually cut jeans cloth, to the specifications they get from companies in USA. And this thing is exported to USA, and brands like Flying Machine and other brands, Levi, etc., they put that big label, just stitch it in machines, automated stitching, and just a walk, 10 minutes walk from that very Sundar street to the Pantaloon store in Nungambakam High Road. You get the same material at a cost of 1,000 rupees. And this fellow gets 200 rupees for every cut cloth which is sent to America. This is actual incident. So you can go on and on about such instances. Why do we really have to have this kind of a slavish attitude towards a country or any other culture? Some years back, the Australian Prime Minister I'm telling you this because why you need to have faith in your system. What is so great about your system? Australian Prime Minister who was a male, now I think she's a female person. So a male, the person prior to this Prime Minister, he gave a public speech, it was also quoted in the Telegraph UK, that he was proud to belong to a race of ancestors of rogues and thugs and thieves. In fact, he was proud to belong to a country where his grandmother had stolen underwear from her classmate when she was studying in the school. This he told officially. Can you believe it? Swami Vivekananda says that who are our ancestors? They are rishis. You know, in Indian tradition we have gotras. Kashyapa Gotra, Bharadwaja Gotra. What does that mean? You belong to the lineage of the Rishi Kashyapa. You belong to the lineage of the Rishi Bharadwaja. So our ancestors are not some fools. They were people, rishis, who could actually visualize the truths of life. They were called seers of mantra, mantra drashta. So we should have faith in our culture. In fact, we have all the reason to have faith in this culture. You can do everything. This comes with the faith in yourself. And what do our parents do? What does our system do? So you see a young boy maybe wakes up late. Some people wake up very early in the morning at 10:30. So they wake up late, they have some kind of, flexible habits. Flexi timings means what? The company will not allow you to take rest in the house. That's what flexi timings means. So like that, flexible habits. So the father says, you cannot, tumse kuch nahi hoga. You're pretty useless, hopeless. And constantly hearing Swami Vivekananda says these things, he turns out to be exactly the same. Useless and hopeless. So you need to believe that you can actually do everything, because that is what you can. And whatever universe you see according to Advaita Vedanta is a projection of belief systems which you hold. So if you can think that you can do, you can do. If you think you cannot, you cannot. Physical strength is something, particularly here, I think we give priority to the intellectual strength, priority to sometimes also to the emotional strength than to physical strength. You see, physical strength is something which you cannot give less importance to. You can never overemphasize the requirement of physical strength. In fact, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which is a treatise on the yogic practices, there Patanjali says that what is the benefit of doing yogasanas? That it removes body consciousness. Why? Because something which is going on well, you do not bother about it. Your car is working properly, you do not bother about it. Your computer is working properly, you do not bother. But suppose some Trojan is going to infect your computer, you're in for veritable misery. So you need to have proper working body. With a sickly body, you will not be able to do anything. So physical strength, not maybe of this type, but a workable body, an efficient body, properly good to go is very much necessary. So you need to take rest, sleep. Sleep. Lot of sleep is necessary. This is again a big mistaken notion. Sleep helps you become more creative. Sleep helps you refresh and rejuvenate yourself. And having slept properly, you will be able to deliver much, much better than burning midnight oil, literally actually. Not the oil maybe, but the filament. Strength is life, weakness is death. This is at various levels. The intellectual level, physical level, intellectual, emotional, and also the spiritual level. So you need to be strong, and anything which weakens you, anything which, suppose somebody comes and tells, tumse nahi hoga, ye hoga. There are some people who can always, you talk to them for 5 minutes and after 5 minutes you feel very depressed and drained out. And this breed of people are increasing. So there are people who can motivate you, who can make things feel nothing. It can happen. So it's better to have contact with such people. It's better to motivate yourself to feel positive. Some people say positive energy, negative energy, I don't know anything of those. But still, you have more positive ideas with you and go away from negative. Swami Vivekananda says anything which weakens you, reject it as poison. And patriotism. Before independence, we can understand why somebody should have been patriot. But now we are free countries. We are all free country people. Why should we be patriotic? In fact, many people don't even bother, particularly the young generation, about the nation. Who cares? और वैसे भी कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, मैं अकेला सोचूंगा तो क्या हो जाएगा? So all patriotism we know about is Janagana Mana, which also many people do not know. Many words of, honestly. You can see this when you go to some institution where still this national anthem is recited, and when you stand there, I as a monk have to feel very bad that I remember, but all the people, dignitaries and all those people, they don't even know. They simply they keep quiet. So Vande Mataram to bhul hi jao. So patriotism. Sudha Murthy, I think in one book she says that she was in a flight and she asked a girl studying in a convent who Jhansi ki Rani was, and that girl did not know. It can become worse. One Swami who works on a tribal project in Orissa went to Bhubaneswar and asked a girl from a good convent school that, can you tell me, do you know who is Jawaharlal Nehru? She said yes. Can you tell me any other person from his family who became a prime minister? So she said no, I don't know. There were two people, but she did not know. So this is patriotism. Thanks to our textbooks, thanks to our education system, we do not know. But what is patriotism all about? Patriotism, does it mean that you should know about the country, or does it require some participation from your side? So this is about getting to brass tacks and changing the situation. Actually, this was a video which was part of Times of India campaign. They had a Lead India campaign some time back. And Swami Ranganathanandaji used to talk about what is called enlightened citizenship. I will give you an example. I have a mobile phone from a renowned company. It has got this, the network provider is a very renowned person. So suddenly I see that this mobile phone, where I sit in my office in the ashrama back in Kolkata, I do not get network. So I know of 15 employees who gave up the line. So I did not. I kept on complaining, and today I get a request from that mobile phone that they are ready to install a tower just next to my ashrama. Do not give up. If that's because my logic is, I pay the money, and the mobile phone operator, why will that operator not give me service which is available from other operators? So what do? I just shift the network. I have this porting and all that. No, I don't. I make him accountable. I make him do what he's supposed to do. Why should I just take things just with tied hands, fingers crossed? Make a change. All of you can do. We are all intelligent citizens and we can make a difference. And what really counts is not the entire governance system, but every one of you, each individual you. When we see a lot of trash in a platform, we say, हम एक छोटा सा कुरकुरे का पैकेट फेंकेंगे तो उससे क्या फर्क हो जाएगा, की फर्क पैंदा है? Lot of फर्क होगा. It actually, you inspire the other person. You make a difference in a department, in a company. See that there are proper policies, proper value-based systems, proper systems and controls in place. You will all become either employees or entrepreneurs or whatever. You see, and if it is not there, do not antagonize anyone. Take the support of the whole system and change the system. Make it more transparent, more accountable and more integral. And each one of you can do this. Make a difference in at least one other person's life. At least to begin with, in your own life. And if you can do that, you are changing yourself, you are changing the society, you are changing the nation for a better tomorrow. Swami Vivekananda says that at the root of all evil today is a negative education. He says, education alone is the panacea of all social ills. And he says that child is taken to school and the first thing he learns is that his father is a fool, the second thing that his grandfather is a lunatic, the third thing that all his teachers are hypocrites, the fourth that all the sacred books are lies. By the time he is 16, he or she is a mass of negation, lifeless and boneless. Wonderful. That's what we are taught. Respect to our parents. वह बिल्कुल है ना, नहीं है? आप बताओ. रामायण और महाभारत तो कहानियां हैं, तो रिलीजियस बुक्स आर लाइज, ये तो है. तो और भी बहुत कुछ है. आप देखो हमारे स्कूलों में, कितने स्कूलों में हम धोती पहन सकते हैं. आई एम नॉट अ गुड दिस थिंग ऑफ धोती और समथिंग, बट एनीवे सलवार कमीज इज कंसिडर्ड ऑल्सो नॉट, पहन नहीं सकते. In fact, in our schools, in tropical climate we live in, we have to put all these blazers, really. And some places even ties. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not about a cultural thing or something, but it's about being comfortable, being in the comfort zone where we live. We want to live as we want to live. But why should somebody come and impose a framework which we are not comfortable with, but we simply adopt? In fact, I went to a school which is run by Indians, very much Indians, in fact belonging to North India, Uttar Pradesh, but they have kept a very Anglican name of the school. I asked why, and they said, ऐसा नाम रखेंगे तभी लोग admission के लिए आते हैं. So we always try to have we are very apologetic, we try to have a sanction from a different framework, which is not Indian or not a local framework. I'm not even talking about Indian. See, Kanpur as a local scenario, Lucknow as a local scenario, Agra as a local scenario. So when we are talking about being local, why should we talk about aping a framework which does not belong or fit here? Respect to parents, we forgot. And that's what we are talking about. And also, always thinking of me and mine does not help service to others. Finally, we are all talking about a holistic approach which will lead us to live a better and integral life. Now, what I request all of you is that because I have been giving you endless suffering for 3 days, you all become very serious. Please smile.